This is African American History is American History. Welcome. I'm your host, Harlan Kearsley. This program's goal is to foster understanding, promote discussion, and expand knowledge through stories of historical events, bios of unsung heroes, as well as timely and relevant news stories which hopefully will paint a vivid picture of the effects of segregation, discrimination, and bigotry on the lives of both blacks and whites. Comparisons will be made between the many racially fractured periods of American history and what's going on right now. Slavery was abolished just 150 years ago. Jim Crow only 50 years ago. Yet stop and frisk, voter ID, stand your ground, income inequality, and a host of other current problems are proof that their detrimental effects continue to be felt, and that the struggle for equal rights for all must continue. In 2014, the New York Times published an unredacted version of the infamous suicide letter sent from the FBI to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This anonymously signed letter, dated November 21, 1964, was discovered by historian and Professor Beverly Gage, who described it as a disturbing document. In a New York Times Magazine article dated November 11, 2014, the letter is described as, quote, just a single sheet gone yellow with age, typewritten and tightly spaced. It's rife with typos and misspellings and sprinkled with attempts at amending them. Clearly, some effort went into perfecting the tone, that of a disappointed admirer, end quote. This letter is a perfect example of the underhanded, unethical, and immoral lengths the Federal Bureau of Investigation, then headed by J. Edgar Hoover, was willing to go in targeting Dr. King. Lengths that included wiretapping his home, bugging his hotel rooms, photo surveillance, as well as physical intimidation by FBI agents. The agency even attempted to break up his marriage by sending selectively edited photographs of, quote, personal moments he shared with friends and women. The letter was part of a package, which also contained a tape recording of King's sexual indiscretions, and was mailed to his wife, Coretta Scott King. The package was later delivered to Dr. King as well. The newly unredacted letter sheds light on the unchecked power Hoover had in his ability to discredit, threaten, and blackmail anyone, be he a civil rights leader or a sitting president. Anyone who he felt upset the status quo. Now, this raises an important question, given our current political climate. Could these same types of strategies in our digital age of emails, Facebook, and Twitter once again be allowed to grow out of control by a government's intelligence community? How easy would it be for the U.S. to become the surveillance state many theorize that we already are? This letter is something every American should read and learn from. The following is a reading of the unredacted FBI letter to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in its entirety.
King, in view of your low-grade, abnormal personal behavior, I will not dignify your name with either a Mr. or a Reverend or a Doctor. And your last name calls to mind only the type of king, such as King Henry VIII and his countless acts of adultery and immoral conduct, lower than that of a beast. King, look into your heart. You know you are a complete fraud, and a great liability to all of us Negroes. White people in this country have enough frauds of their own, but I'm sure they don't have one at this time that is anywhere near your equal. You are no clergyman, and you know it. I repeat, you are a colossal fraud, and an evil, vicious one at that. You could not believe in God and act as you do. Clearly, you don't believe in any personal moral principles. King, like all frauds, your end is approaching. You could have been our greatest leader. You, even at an early age, have turned out to be not a leader, but a dissolute, abnormal, immoral imbecile. We will now have to depend on our older leaders, like Wilkins, a man of character, and thank God we have others like him. But you are done. Your honorary degrees, your Nobel Prize, what a grim farce, and other awards will not save you. King, I repeat, you are done. No person can overcome facts, not even a fraud like yourself. Lend your sexually psychotic ear to the enclosure. You will find yourself and all your dirt, filth, evil, and moronic talk exposed on the record for all time. I repeat, no person can argue successfully against facts. You are finished. You will find on the record for all time your filthy, dirty, evil companions, male and females, giving expression with you to your hideous abnormalities, and some of them to pretend to be ministers of the gospel. Satan could not do more. What incredible evilness! It is all there on the record, your sexual orgies. Listen to yourself, you filthy, abnormal animal. You are on the record. You have been on the record. All your adulterous acts, your sexual orgies extending far into the past. This one is but a tiny sample. You will understand this. Yes, from your various evil playmates on the East Coast to others on the West Coast and outside the country, you are on the record. King, you are done. The American public, the church organizations that have been helping, Protestant, Catholic, and Jews, will know you for what you are, an evil, abnormal beast. So will others who have backed you. You are done. King, there is only one thing left for you to do. You know what it is. You have just 34 days in which to do it. This exact number has been selected for a specific reason. It is definitely practical and significant. You are done. There is but one way out for you. You better take it before your filthy, abnormal, fraudulent self is bared to the nation.
This is African American History is American History.
Now, despite the clumsy attempt to make him think the letter was written by a black man, Dr. King had no doubt it had come from the FBI and sanctioned by its infamous director, J. Edgar Hoover. 50 years later, it was revealed that the letter had been written by one of Hoover's deputies, William Sullivan. Hoover made no secret of his hatred for the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. A staunch racist, Hoover made worldwide headlines in 1964 when he called Dr. King the most notorious liar in the country. Hoover had made that comment in front of a group of female journalists just days before Dr. King's trip to Oslo, where he was to receive the Nobel Peace Prize, at that time becoming that award's youngest recipient. Hoover devoted a great deal of his attention to discrediting Dr. King, whom he considered a threat to national security. The letter was reportedly written and sent after Hoover failed to prove Dr. King was a communist. The FBI initially monitored King under its Racial Matters program, which focused on individuals and organizations involved in racial politics. Although the FBI did raise concerns as early as March 1956 that Dr. King might be palling around with card-carrying members of the Communist Party, the FBI didn't really focus investigations on any alleged ties with communism until 1962. In February of 1962, Hoover told Attorney General Robert Kennedy that one of King's closest advisors was, quote, a secret member of the Communist Party. Now, just a hint of communism, whether real or imagined, was enough for Hoover to drive a wedge between Dr. King and the Kennedy administration, who could not afford to be perceived of approving, in any way, the actions of an alleged communist. So, on February 14th, 1962, under the existing cover of the Communist Infiltration Program, designed to investigate groups and individuals subject to communist infiltration, Hoover deployed agents to find subversive material on Dr. King. That following year, Hoover upped his game, strong-arming Attorney General Robert Kennedy to authorize wiretaps on King's home and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference offices. Although the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was understandably upset by the letter and tape sent by the FBI, he never spoke publicly about it. And it wasn't public knowledge until the mid-1970s, well after Dr. King had been assassinated and after Hoover had died of a heart attack.
This has been African American History is American History. The episode you've been listening to, The FBI and MLK, was written, directed, and produced by Harlan Kearsley. The voice actor was Jeffrey Schubert. I'm Harlan Kearsley. On behalf of everyone here at African American History is American History, thank you for listening. And remember, none of us can truly embrace the future until we first confront the past. African American History is American History. Copyright H.C. Kearsley, 2017.